If you missed the previous parts, you'll find them down in the description. Alright, let's jump right in. The episode opens with a truck driver spotting a coffin right in the middle of the road, so he immediately calls the police. When the officers arrive and open it, they find a dead body inside. At the same time, Che is sitting at a cafe watching the news, and she can't believe someone could do something that cruel. Then she overhears a guy telling his friend, "Man, never get into a taxi drunk again. You could end up just like that poor guy they found in the coffin. They found him in Cheongdong, and the last time anyone saw him, he was on his way to a dinner party before he disappeared." The second Che hears that the man disappeared at night and was heading to Cheongdong, she instantly remembers the drunk passenger she drove that night. She freezes, quickly pays for her drink, rushes out, and she's so shaken she even forgets to take her change. The moment she gets home, she grabs her camera and checks the recording from the day she brought the first victim to Yoon-soo. The date says the 25th. She immediately searches for the date the man in the coffin disappeared. It's the 25th! That's when it all clicks. It has to be the same man. And Yoon-soo did it, to get back at her for what she tried to do to him. Now every piece of evidence could point straight at Che, especially if the police check the security cameras along the road. She completely panics, because she realizes she could get arrested at any moment. Then, she suddenly remembers she still has one of Yoon-soo's jacket buttons from the cafe, and she starts thinking, maybe she can use it as evidence against him. She remembers how terrified she used to be when she was little, scared of everything, but not anymore. Now she's ready to grab onto her last chance, no matter what it takes. She takes the button, goes back to the girl she buried before, places Yoon-soo's button next to the body, hoping it'll become evidence. Then she puts the body inside a suitcase, leaves it in the middle of the road, and waits for the news to report that someone found it. For a moment, she thinks about putting everything back, but then she tells herself, I've already started, so I have to see this through. That night, she falls asleep, waiting for any news about the girl. Then she dreams that someone's chasing her. She spots a rope and runs toward it, thinking it's her only way out. But when she gets closer, she realizes it's a hanging rope. She suddenly wakes up from the nightmare, and right away, she sees an article saying the body has been found. She immediately puts a hand over her chest, terrified they might not have found Yoon-soo's button. She opens the article, but there's nothing, not a single word about them finding any evidence. Che tries to calm herself down, telling herself they probably just haven't found the button yet, but sooner or later, they definitely will. At the same time, Yoon-soo is watching the same news, and instead of looking worried, he just smirks. I seriously thought Che was smarter than this. Turns out, she's actually pretty dumb. Then he unlocks his phone and quietly says, should I use those pictures against her or not? The photos he's talking about are the ones he secretly took of Che burying the girl's body. But then he changes his mind. No, I've got something that'll make her regret this way more. Just then, Kyorum walks in. You're insane. At this rate, you're gonna expose the fact that we're vampires yourself. Yoon-soo doesn't even flinch. I've never made a mistake that exposed us. But Kyorum shakes his head. Yesterday wasn't normal. The way you acted, the way you handed me your jacket and told me to burn it. You weren't yourself. One day, if you lose control like that again, you might actually slip up. Right then, Yoon-soo's phone starts ringing. He answers it, and it's his father. So what, you're planning to repeat the same mistake you made 30 years ago? Looks like you won't stop until you expose our kind to the whole world. Yoon-soo immediately asks, what are you talking about? His father replies, they found your jacket button, with the body. The second Yoon-soo hears that, his entire expression changes. For the first time, he actually looks scared and furious. His father tells him they've stayed hidden for thousands of years because they've always protected their secret. They lived quietly, worked for powerful and wealthy people, and always helped each other whenever one of them was in danger of being exposed. Everything you're doing right now is nothing but stupidity. Then he says he'll clean everything up. The coffin, the button, every trace, like none of it ever happened. But there's a price. Yoon-soo isn't allowed to hunt for an entire month. He can't freely use money anymore, and he's forbidden from living among humans for a while. As his father starts bringing up what happened 30 years ago, Yoon-soo immediately cuts him off. Stop, don't say another word. His father quietly replies, the kid with you is standing right there, isn't he? You really thought I wouldn't know you were hiding him? Yoon-soo practically begs him to stay quiet. So his father ends the conversation. I've said what I needed to say. And then he hangs up. Yoon-soo is stunned that his father already knows about Kyorum. Then his mind immediately goes back to the button. He already knows. Nobody could have done that except Che. And after calling her stupid just moments ago, he finally admits something. She actually outsmarted him. She'd been planning this ever since the day they went to the cafe. He turns to Kyorum and says, keep an eye on that researcher who's been following Che. As for me, I'll have to stay quiet for a while. Then he throws his phone into the water, getting rid of it completely. And that's when we jump back 30 years into the past. Back then, Yoon-soo was living all by himself. Suddenly, someone named Seon knocks on his door, and he's not alone. Sun walks in carrying a little boy in his arms. Yoon-soo looks at the child and asks, who's that? Seon replies, that's my son. Yoon-soo pauses. Your son? Yeah, my son. His name's Kyorum. After Seon walks inside, Yoon-soo asks him, so, the woman you met 10 years ago, was she Kyorum's mother? And where is she now? But Seon doesn't answer. Not a single word. Instead, blood is dripping from his mouth. We cut back to Che. She's hiding out, just trying to stay out of sight until the police find the button next to the body. But out of nowhere, the researcher walks up behind her and says, "You promised you'd tell me the truth after I did what you asked. Or were you just gonna leave me to deal with all of this while you ran away?" And that's when we find out something huge. It wasn't Che who left the body or the button on the road. She asked the researcher to do it for her. In exchange, she promised to tell him everything she knew about Yoon-soo. So she finally tells him everything. She explains that Yoon-soo ordered her to bring him one person every single week, and she believes those people are his food. She also tells him about Yoon-soo's abilities, how he can freeze people in place and even hypnotize them. Then she adds, the worst part is, everyone thinks he's the perfect guy. He donates to children's charities, and the button you placed with the body, that button belongs to Yoon-soo. I took it from his jacket when we were at the cafe. The second the researcher hears that, his face completely changes. He slowly pulls out another button, exactly the same one. Then he says, I found this when I was a kid. I've searched everywhere to figure out what brand it came from, but I never found anything. Che stares at it and immediately asks, where did you find it? How did you get it? The researcher takes a deep breath and starts telling her a story from 30 years ago. Back then, I had a friend named Han-suk. We used to play together all the time, but every time I walked him home, there was always this strange man standing outside his house. One day, the man was there again. So I asked Han-suk, do you know that guy? He just said, no. So I said goodbye and told him to come over to my house that night. Then I went home. Later that night, I asked my mom if Han-suk had come over. She said, no. So I figured he was probably waiting for me instead. I headed to his house because we were supposed to play together. But when I got there, everything was completely quiet. So I turned around to leave. Then I heard a strange noise. I hid and looked toward Han-suk's house, and that's when I saw it. The same strange man, the one who always stood outside. He bit Han-suk's mother and killed her. I was so scared. I couldn't even move. I passed out. When I finally woke up, the man was gone, and the only thing left behind was this button lying on the stairs. After that day, Han-suk disappeared. It was like he'd never existed, to the point where I started wondering if I'd imagined him the whole time. Then the researcher looks at Che and says, this button is identical to Yoon-soo's. There's no way that's a coincidence. I'm sure Yoon-soo is the one who killed Han-suk's mother. At that exact moment, Gyeorum overhears everything, and he quietly says, my mom, Yoon-soo, killed my mom? And that's when we finally realize Han-suk was Gyeorum all along. But how did everything end up like this? Let's keep going. Che can't bring herself to believe the researcher. She tells him to hide. Someone could be watching them. But the researcher isn't ready to let her go. He still has so many questions. He wants every single detail about everything that's happened. But Che doesn't answer. She leaves him behind, gets into a taxi, and heads straight for the station. After leaving him behind, her phone starts ringing. She glances at the screen and sighs. Seriously, this guy's stubborn. Then she hangs up. A second later, a new message pops up from the Vampire Castle forum. At first, she assumes it's the researcher again, but when she opens it, she freezes. The message is from the forum's admin, someone calling himself the Dark Reaper. I've got important information about Yoon-soo. Meet me at the church where you always pray. Che immediately wonders, could the forum owner actually be Yoon-soo? But then she quickly shakes her head. That doesn't sound like him at all. If Yoon-soo wanted to see her, he'd just show up out of nowhere. So she heads to the church. The doors are already open. She walks inside and stops in her tracks. Gyeorum is standing there. Don't tell me, you came here with your uncle, and you're the owner of that forum? Gyeorum nods. Yeah, I run the forum, but I came alone. Che frowns. Then how did you figure out it was me? I used a fake name. Gyeorum quietly holds up a piece of paper. From this, it's the note she wrote before. Almost nobody uses their real name, but somehow, you actually did. Che immediately dies inside from embarrassment, especially because he even knows she wrote it with ketchup. Fine, then why did you ask me to come? Yoon-soo sent you, didn't he? Gyeorum shakes his head. Yoon-soo isn't my partner, and I have nothing to do with him. The way he talks about Yoon-soo catches Che completely off guard. Wait, are you actually planning to go against him? Gyeorum looks her straight in the eye. I'm going to help you get rid of him, but Che still doesn't trust him. Gyeorum continues. He won't be able to leave for a while anyway. Then he tells her the button she planted with the body carried the wolf emblem. That symbol belongs only to Yoon-soo. That's why the people above him covered up the investigation and punished him. He's banned from hunting for a month. Then Gyeorum hands her a piece of paper. She opens it and finds an address. That's Yoon-soo's house. You can go there anytime and kill him. Once he's gone, you won't have to keep running anymore. Che stares at him in disbelief. How am I supposed to kill a vampire? Gyeorum calmly replies, attack him when he's not expecting it. Then he disappears. After getting home, Gyeorum starts panicking over what he just did. He actually told Che to kill Yoon-soo, the one person who fears absolutely nothing. He forces himself to calm down and goes looking for Yoon-soo, but the house is empty, so he calls him. Yoon-soo answers. He's at the airport. I'm leaving. Gyeorum asks, when are you coming back? Yoon-soo simply says, no idea. Maybe when I get hungry. After arriving in Europe, we see Yoon-soo sitting alone in a restaurant. He quietly says, "The first time I met that woman was 20 years ago. Now she's an old lady. The world's always changing, but somehow it just keeps getting more boring, and I'm the only one who never changes. I guess that gets pretty exhausting." Meanwhile, Chae finally arrives at Yoon-soo's house. Maybe Gyeorum was telling the truth. All those articles about the bodies disappeared because someone covered everything up, and Yoon-soo hasn't been back to church for a whole week. He's probably being punished. Even this address, I thought it was fake, but it looks real. Then she takes a deep breath. Standing here thinking won't change anything. I need to see it with my own eyes. She steps through the gate, and it slowly opens by itself. Waiting for her is Gyeorum. "What took you so long? I gave you that address a week ago." Chae sighs. "Relax." Gyeorum replies, "He's not here. He's been in Europe for a week." They walk inside. The house is spotless, beautiful, and somehow even creepier because of it. Chae suddenly wants to leave. "Wouldn't it have been easier if you killed him yourself? You live with him." Gyeorum shakes his head. "I don't know how to kill him. Then why bring me here?" Gyeorum says, "I once saw Yoon-soo kill another vampire, but I don't remember how. I'm sure the answer is somewhere in this house, because he killed him here." He leads Chae upstairs. The second floor looks completely different from the rest of the house. "We need to search here. This place is a secret. Nobody comes in except Yoon-soo. This is Yoon-soo's private library." Chae tells Gyeorum to help search too, but he refuses. She gets annoyed by his attitude, but she has no other choice, so she starts searching by herself. Maybe the proof she's looking for really is hidden somewhere in this room. She picks up a broken glass, and suddenly, a familiar voice echoes through the library. "Looks like we've got guests today. You two came together." They slowly turn around and freeze. Yoon-soo is standing right in front of them. Neither of them can believe it. What is he doing here at a time like this? Now tell me, what do you guys think Yoon-soo's gonna do to Gyeorum? And what do you think is gonna happen to Chae next? Drop your theories in the comments! And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, because the next parts and manhwa recaps are gonna be absolutely insane. Love you guys! Bye!